In this episode, we are continuing our celebration of Halloween by talking about some more forgotten toys from the 80s. This time, it is board games that all have one specific thing in common: monsters. So, stick around. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob, and in this episode, we will be talking about more forgotten board games from the 80s. Now, the last time we did this topic, we talked about board games that were inspired by movies. This time, board games that are inspired by monsters. The perfect way to celebrate the Halloween season. So, without further ado, let's take a look at number 1. Our first forgotten 80s board game comes from Parker Brothers, the year 1987. This is Monster Mash. Now, what gives Monster Mash its name? Well, the fact that it comes with 4 hands with suction cups. And the point of the game is to thwack your monsters. Yes, the hands are called thwackers, which is awesome. But the gist of the game is that you lay out all these monster cards on a table, and you have people around with their thwackers, and you get this little monster machine that when you push a button, 3 spindles move and give you a random monster. You're going to be looking for that monster within the cards, and the first player that thwacks the proper monster gets the point. Now, the description on the back of the box makes it sound a lot more grandiose, with a little bit of a background story. So let me read what the box says. It says, "Imagine that you're a hunter in the deep, dark jungle. But it's not just any jungle. This one is filled with big, blobby monsters that run wild. Shh! They're hiding everywhere, but not for long. Press the button on the Monster Maker machine and aha! One appears in a flash. That's the one you got to mash with your thwacker hand. Can you do it before the other hunters do? If you think you can, it's time you started off on this slap-happy adventure called Monster Mash. Happy hunting!" I think this game would be perfect for any child. I mean, the fact that you are allowed to slap the table with your thwacker, you get to hunt for monsters, you get this awesome randomizer monster machine. I mean, it just sounds like the perfect board game. Too bad I don't remember it at all, but I would have loved to play this, even if I was 11 at the time it came out.
You're searching for a monster who's hard to find, but here's a hint, he's one of a kind.
Then you can mash.
Monster
It's Monster Mash. I got him.
It's a wacky smash. Be the very first to find the fiend and then give him a whack and start all over again.
I'll do the mash.
Monster Mash.
It's Monster Mash.
It's a wacky smash. Monster Mash. Wacky fun from Parker Brothers.
Now, our second board game, yeah, I'm kind of cheating because it comes straight from Japan. But with box art this awesome, you have to talk about it. This is The Monster School, released by Bandai in 1985. Now, Bandai released these really easy-to-play board games throughout the 80s called Party Joy. In total, there were over 200 of them released throughout the 80s. And I'm not 100% sure how to play, what it's about, but like I said, with this package artwork and the artwork on the actual game pieces themselves, I'm a fan. I don't need to know how to play, but I would love to have this in my collection just because it looks so awesome. Now, I was able to find a translation of what the back of the box says. Mind you, this is a translation, but it says, "A game in search of the world of Satan complete works, which were covered by the monster school while confronting a monster. The game field is comprised of 6 boxes and boards. When somebody of the player finds a door, those boxes are overturned and show a different aspect. Unfortunately, this game is out of print, and I can only imagine it probably is pretty pricey out on that open market. I mean, it being out of print from '85 and an import from Japan. But I'd be really curious to see how much this goes for, because like I said, I would love to have this in my collection just for the sheer awesomeness of how it looks. Our third monster board game is part of the Clicks line that was released by Tiger Electronics in 1989. This game is called Grave Stalker, and what the Clicks line were little travel board games. You got a small plastic housing that inside of it had a fold-out game board and your different game pieces that you would need. Now, within the housing, you had a clear square, if you will, with dice. Now, unfortunately, this wasn't a Pop-O-Matic bubble situation. This was a kind of shake it to see what you got situation. But Pop-O-Matic bubbles made everything awesome. They should have went with that. But anyway, let me read to you what this game was all about. It says, it was a portable magnetic roll and move maze game for 2 players. The object of the game is to escape the graveyard. To do this, you have to navigate the graveyard maze and reach the Grave Stalker's house in the center of the board. Once there, you may claim the key that will let you escape, but players will also have a chance to move the Grave Stalker in an effort to block their opponent's path. Also, watch out for the skull spaces on the board, which can send you further away from your goal. Once you have the key, it's a mad dash to the finish. The first player out wins. I mean, it sounds really fun. Unfortunately, I wasn't much of a traveler as a kid, so there was no point in getting any travel-based games. Plus, I never had a Player 2. I know, sounds pretty pathetic, but that's the truth. Anyway, this sounds like a pretty awesome game. Our fourth forgotten board game doesn't really have a board at all, but it's an awesome game nonetheless. This was released in 1989 by Ideal, and it is Rattle Me Bones. Now, this is probably the most popular game on this list, and it had an awesome commercial that seemed to air all the time back in 1989. Now, we'll take a look at that commercial in a little bit, but for right now, let's talk about the game. What you got was an awesome motorized glow-in-the-dark skeleton and this little spinner. So, you deck out the skeleton in all of his bits and baubles, spin the spinner, and whatever item it lands on, you have to try to remove off of this undead pirate. Remove the wrong thing and trip his mechanism, and he leaps to life, and you lose. Now, the object of the game is to remove all the objects, and the winner will be whomever has the most objects in their booty. I don't mean it like that. But anyway, this looks like an awesome game. This skeleton would look awesome on your shelf, in your toy collection, what have you. I am super duper curious to see how much this guy goes for out on the open market. So, fingers crossed he ain't that expensive, because, I mean, any skeleton toy is awesome.
Rattle me bones! Welcome aboard, mateys. Rattle me bones, take what he will, but don't rattle me bones. Spin the wheel for the treasure to take. Careful, my friend, or he'll rattle it, shake it. Rattle me bones, turn the lights low, there's a frightening glow, but don't rattle me bones. Rattle me bones. You can use your skill to take what you will. You can take your pill, but don't rattle me bones. Batteries sold separately from Ideal.
Our fifth and final monster-inspired board game is inspired by the Universal Monsters. This is Monster Mansion, released by Milton Bradley in 1981. Now, game board looks pretty vast. There's a lot of different spaces on it. I got my cheat sheet here, so let's see what this game's all about and what the objective is. It says players move their pawns carefully through the haunted house, or mansion, in search of 4 different color treasures. When a player lands on one of the 40 face-down tokens on the game board, they flip it over, where they might discover a treasure, a helpful token, or horrors, even a monster. Universal Monster. Classic Universal Monsters, the Mummy, Mr. Hyde, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein, and my personal favorite, the Wolfman, are all hidden on the game board, ready to scare or take your treasure. Once a monster has been turned over, any player may move the monster from room to room to look for an opponent. Once 4 different colored treasures have been collected, make a break for one of the mansion's exits to win the game. I mean, like I said, it's a vast game board with a lot of pieces, but it sounds like a lot of fun, and it's super awesome that it's Universal Monster inspired. And it's got them all. It's not just the 4 core monsters. I mean, it has Mr. Hyde, Phantom of the Opera, all of those dudes. So that's super awesome. Now, I can imagine this game probably goes for a pretty penny because people love to collect anything with the Universal Monsters attached to it. This game is no different, and the fact that it comes with so much, I would assume it's pretty hard to find a mint copy because, yeah, there's a lot of little squares that can end up getting lost. And it sounds like each and every one of them is needed to play this game and have fun. Anyway, that was a look at 5 forgotten 80s board games that are perfect for the Halloween season because they star monsters. Monsters are everywhere, and I just love that board games have their share of monsters, toys have their share of monsters, cartoons, what have you. The 80s was full of monsters, and it made us all better people, to be honest with you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everyone. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad, and stay dorky.